Hey there, Patty Dominguez here with episode 120, and I am back again, like Eminem talks about in that song that I can't think of the name of. Listen, I am so happy to be back, rejuvenated. I took some time off, and I'm really glad I did. Somewhere around the middle of November, I was just like, you know what? Doing a podcast feels heavy right now. So many things going on. I'm officially burned out a little bit on the whole thing. So gifted myself some time off, and I'm really glad I did because now I'm pumped up for the year and really rejuvenated. And I hope you enjoyed your time and basked in the deliciousness of the holiday season. However crazy the external environment is, remember, it is all within your control. Focusing on what your thoughts are is the utmost importance. So in this episode 120 of the new year, we're going to be talking about business planning. Now, I'm not going to get boring, but rather share with you an epiphany I had because, you hear about goal setting and all these other things, but it's more than that. And so that's what I want to share with you because I had some really great insights that I shared with my community as well. And now I'm sharing it with you with the intention of setting yourself up for success directionally and recognizing that it's not just the number stuff. It's not just about that, it's about having the balance. And I don't mean work-life balance or anything like that. I mean the balances of the goals that you want to set for yourself. So I'll explain more. Hang with me. I'm glad you're here. You're going to walk away with something that's going to give you an aha moment. Promise. Okay? All right. And with that, let us get on with the show. And here we go. Let's go. Hey there, I'm Patty Dominguez. You're about to discover what it means to position your brand and your business to stand out. This show explores the stories of small business owners just like you who are bringing their message out to the world and impacting their tribe. So if you want to take your business to a category of one status, then hang with me because this podcast shares everything you need to know about how to be more prolific with your brand so that you can have more profits. All right. Well, thank you again for being here. Super excited to bring you this episode, which we're going to be sharing more about how to get yourself prepped for the new year. And I know that you may have gone through the whole goal setting process, and I know I have in the past, but I'll tell you, I had a really good epiphany on how to set it up so it's more robust. And while in the past, I've done it where it has more of an analytical process, like really knowing your numbers and knowing what your targets are going to be, there's a whole other side of it that I was completely missing. So I just wanted to share some of the tips that I have implemented for this year that I think it's really lending itself to a clearer vision and clearer goals and targets and stuff. So the first thing is when you look at what business planning is, it's just a really good exercise to do a debrief. I mean, I remember back in my corporate days, we would have what you'd call postmortem or I don't even know how to talk about it in another way, but postmortem, I know it sounds kind of creepy, right? But postmortem would be about taking a look at big projects that you've completed and really thinking and analyzing what worked about the product. Because this one thing that I do remember hearing back in my corporate days, it's not so much about the fact that you got it done, the project done, which of course that's important, but it's did you do it in the right way? And by right, I mean, did you burn bridges? Did you steamroll over people to get things done? And so by doing this exercise of this postmortem and really taking inventory of what worked about the project that was a surprise to you. So back to you. When you look at your year in review, what worked for you? What is something that stood out that you were pleasantly surprised that really offered you real progress or a breakthrough? So take inventory of that. Do a journaling exercise or possibly in your Evernote. However you take these things is really important. The other side, and I brought this up to both people in the community and clients that I coach, is around really understanding and assessing what didn't work. And while most people gloss over this one thing around what didn't work, I have to tell you that there is real power in that. And surprisingly enough, the mastermind that I'm in, one of the things they talked about was the importance of being diligent about analyzing why things didn't work. And we were talking about it a little bit, and it came down to the realization that within the things that did not work, there's lessons there for you to learn. And so what happens is if you gloss over it, you're going to miss what the lesson was. And I thought that was a really important point that was made. So when you look at what didn't work in your business, figure it out. And it's not a matter of being in victimhood or any of that other garbage. It's a matter of like, wow, there's a lesson in there, right? There's a lesson in charging my worth, or there's a lesson in that particular launching strategy didn't work because I was spreading myself too thin, or recognizing that I was trying to do it all by myself, or saying yes too many times and then regretting it, or not exercising enough because I was so much in work mode that I put my health not as a priority, for example, right? So these are all reasons that lend itself to look at what didn't work in your business. And so really as an outcome of that, you can come up with some course correcting approaches. So back, I think it was in 2018, oh my God, I was so dramatically burnt out. I mean, I had adrenal fatigue and all the things, just burning the candle at both ends and really recognizing what wasn't working. So when I took inventory of this and really made a decision to incorporate what I call high leverage time, which is like the sacred time that I have on my calendar where I'm focusing on myself, on my self-care. And I'm not talking about like a massage every day, as fabulous as it sounds, but I'm just talking about reading 10 pages and doing my mindful meditation and moving my body and doing the things that matter to me. So that high leverage time came as a discovery of what wasn't working. So that's a great example of when you have the awareness of what wasn't working, you can then course correct. And I think that's a really essential part of taking a look at your year in review. So if you're not doing that, you should really strongly consider doing it, because I promise you, if you didn't grab the lesson, maybe you're going to be faced with the lessons that come up again because you missed it the first time. So it's just a good practice to do that. Okay. And then the other side of it, when you look at what worked, you can also really assess is what should I be doing more of that makes sense? You know what I mean? So this again, straight away, what worked, what didn't, what should I be doing more of? And out of that, you can also take a look at a seed of inspiration that offers you up a new opportunity. And then new opportunities can be a new frontier, perhaps lending itself to a stretch goal that you have. So again, this is just a great practice to have. And then, of course, when you're looking at your year in review, you should really consider quantifying what does success look like for you. Because people will say, well, I really want to be a success, but have you really stopped to quantify what that looks like? Because it's really a two-parter. It's quantifying it and then qualifying it. And again, this goes into the number side of it as well as the soft skills or right brain side that is just as important. And that's the epiphany I had, is that in the past, I've only done the quantifiable things. And when you really think about the goal or target setting process, it seems so regimented and perhaps very left brain and analytical. And if you've resisted it before, I will caution you to consider that maybe you were resisting because it was just too left brain, too analytical, too cold hard facts. It's not just about the numbers, right? Because there's more to it. Because if, again, you're only focusing on the numbers but sacrificing the things that matter to you, then it's not worth it. So if there is resistance there to the goal-setting aspect of it, perhaps it's because there is none of the other counter, right? It's that there's no right brain stuff to it. So that was the big epiphany, is that in the absence of the soft right brain focus qualifiers, some of my clients were just like, yeah, that was good or whatever. They'll skip through it because perhaps knowing your numbers is just too strict, right? Too much of the numbers, regimented spreadsheets. I mean, I love my spreadsheets. I'm going to be really honest with you, because it really allows me to get an understanding. And because I'm visual, I see it, right? I see what matters. And these are the numbers that make sense. So have that in place, because you got to know your numbers. Because when the numbers, when you have the numbers, that's going to tell the story of where you're headed, where you're going, what's happened, what's transpired, right? The action that you have to take as a result of that. So the number side of it is extremely important, whether it's setting your income target and then recognizing what is it going to take, what do you have in the pipeline to get you there, is extremely important. And really having a handle on how much overhead to have, right? And so thinking that, for example, you have to do everything by yourself, well, you're going to be burning yourself out. And if you're trying to, for example, hit the 6-figure salary, but you're doing everything by yourself, take inventory of the fact that you're really expending energy where you could hire someone at, I don't know, $10 an hour, $20 an hour, $30 an hour. And instead of you doing the social media stuff, you can then allocate that to someone else. And then as a part of that, you can then say, okay, well, now I have room and space to add more clients. And instead of, being bogged down with all the things that are non-income producing, you can focus on the things that matter, the things that light you up, staying in your zone of genius. And so quantifying that by taking a look at your week, where are you spending your time, knowing your numbers around, like, where am I spending my time, looking at my calendar, where am I generating income, how many hours of the work week am I allocating for that, and then taking a look at where am I completely wasting time when I could be outsourcing it potentially, or even if it's something that you could get rid of entirely. And so really taking a good look at that, quantifying wherever possible, is going to be really helpful. And again, that goes along with, your income targets, or how many units of whatever you want to sell, or how many times you want to launch, or just putting the numbers in place, picking your targets and really getting an understanding of that. And then, of course, that is going to be the springboard for then having a plan of attack as to how you're going to create that thereafter. And the other tip that I have that is extremely helpful, and it's really no surprise, is doing things in sprints. Instead of having the overall big overarching number, you break it down into quarters. It's no different than how we used to do in corporate. It's just breaking it down into quarters, 12 weeks, considered a sprint. And one of the things, which is a total aside, that I really liked is I worked with a mentor who every single quarter, at the end of the quarter, he would take a week off. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so genius. It was just his treat. It's like going, rallying, and then after the 12 weeks, celebrating the milestone of the quarter ending and then taking that time off, which I thought was such a good practice. So I really like that. Okay, then on the qualifying side of things, and this was again more of the focus of what we were looking at this year. On the qualifying side of it is, okay, so you have your targets. Well, how does it fit in within the great realm of your life, right? When you're looking at targets, it's not just the business side of it, but it's also, for example, your tithing, your tithing number, or the number that you're going to be allocating toward travel and entertainment. And yes, I know it's a really weird time. People are not traveling as much, but I'm just using that as an example. Or the money that you're allocating for your spiritual or personal growth, So for example, for me, ever since my T. Harv Eker book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, I read 10% of my income is going to my personal growth. That is for me a non-negotiable. So when I slot that in, then I work around that. Of course, I have my salary target and all these other things. You know what I mean? So quantifying that, but then also allocating it, for example, for personal growth. My 10% personal growth is a non-negotiable. And then I go deeper into, well, why is this important to me? It's important to me because it provides such profound reward to my life, right? It provides fulfillment in my life. So back to you, when you're allocating your numbers and your targets, ask yourself the whys and go granular. So if you have an income target or want to quantify the fund number or what you want to do for investing in your business or in other areas, again, like health and travel and entertainment and all of these other things, when you're doing the numbers, also take a look at the whys behind it. because that is a very powerful practice that's really going to open up some awareness, and it allows you to have those feelings so that you can really align the feelings with the target, and going in deep on the why is, of course, a very powerful process. And then it's a matter of, again, the 12-week sprints, having that focused energy. And I have found that the easier or the more simple my business, the more success that I've had. So really cleaning house and understanding, like, why are you doing this overall? You know, what is it going to gift you? And really just being exploratory around adding that element of right brain. Some people will call it woo, as in terms of visualizing what you want to create. There's so much power in that. And there's a beautiful quote, and forgive me because I don't remember where or who said it, pardon me. And it's, we create things twice, once in your mind and then in the physical world. So gift yourself that time to visualize and explore and feeling the feels. And so you're building that scenario in your mind so that then in perfect alignment, you can have it in your physical world. And there's a whole lot of power in that. And then, of course, the most exciting part of this entire thing is taking action, the implementation. Because as the saying goes, you cannot move a parked car. And if you're hesitating, if you are in a space of self-doubt or overwhelm, or how could I get this started, recognize that you're bogging yourself down in these overwhelming feelings that are keeping you stuck. And so, my dear friend and listener, what is going to be different this year? So take inventory of these things and recognize that if you are in a bottleneck in your business, it is potentially time for a who. For example, oh gosh, I really hate social media. I can't seem to do the postings on social media that I have to do. Sounds like it's time for a social media coordinator. Or, oh, I feel really bogged down, for example, in having to do a podcast and not being consistent with it. Find somebody to do your podcasting or your videos or all of these other things that are outside your zone of genius. Because just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. Instead, understand and honor the time that you do have to stay in your zone of genius, to focus on the things that light you up. And that is one way to release the overwhelm and the confusion. Now, as a self-sabotaging behavior, if you're not taking action and you're in that fight, flight, or freeze mode, then this is another example of finding a who, finding a coach, somebody that will guide you, finding a community, a group of who's that are going to help you and support you in the process as you're evolving to that next level. So these are all things that really matter as you're doing your business planning. It's not just about the numbers. It's about adding those elements of quantifying things, yes, but also the qualifiers, the things that matter, why you're doing it, going deeper in that exploration so that when you are doing your 12-week sprints, you could anchor back to knowing why you're doing what you're doing. And then, of course, the implementation part of it, taking action. And if I can give you a little secret, I think even igniting that even more so in terms of action is tapping into accountability. That's really going to be the big one for me this year, as well as for all the beautiful mavens in my community, is that we're incorporating accountability. So that is literally how we are forging ahead for this year and making a difference in our business, because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And so it really requires you to step up and be a different version and bringing in a new energy to your business so that you can have the fulfillment and profits that you're looking for. All right. So I hope that helps. Again, I am back for weekly episodes. As I mentioned, if you have any questions for me, you can reach out at positioningtoprofit.com. We are accepting new members in Prolific Cafe, which is a community of mavens, female entrepreneurs that are really establishing their category of one and changing their own communities and creating movements of themselves. So if you're interested, you can find out more information at prolificcafe.com. And with that, I hope to see you next time. Connect with me on socials. I would love to hear from you. Yes, I have a new Instagram. It's at the Patty Dominguez, because my original Instagram got completely annihilated. Don't know what happened. Couldn't even tell you. Hey, if you're listening and you're from Instagram and can help me to get my my original Instagram back, I would be most appreciative. Anyway, all right. So with that, hope you have a fantastic week, and I look forward to catching up with you real soon. All right. Thanks so much. Hey there, thanks for checking out this episode of Positioning to Profit. Please leave a review if you have gained a benefit from this episode. I appreciate it greatly, and I will give you a shout out on the show as well. I so appreciate the ratings and reviews. Okay, also for the positioning extravaganza, head over to positioningtoprofit.com. There's lots of goodies over there. It's a treasure chest of freebies as well as beautiful courses that will help you to establish your category of one and move your brand forward. And again, connect with me over on socials or on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on the socials, so I hope to connect with you there, and I look forward to catching up with you real soon.